Do you want to completely destroy all of your chances in dating, ruin every relationship you could have, be they romantic or social? Well, it is super easy, barely an inconvenience, and all it takes is filling yourself to the brim with this one single emotion. And I should know, I did this when I was younger. Like, younger me was crippled with a sense that he wasn't good enough, that he hid himself. Like, I didn't feel like I really connected with anyone because I was so stuck in hiding who I was for fear of what other people would think. And this just left me detached, lonely, and isolated. Any guesses to which emotion you think I'm speaking of and why I think it is just so toxic? It's shame. Shame is ultimately deadly for men. Firstly, because it wrecks his confidence. The thing that people always speak to about what makes a man attractive is his confidence. But how can you ever project anything like that out into the world when all you're doing is hiding all your insecurities, riddled with all of this shame? It takes away your ability to be brave, to do the things that you know you need to do, because you're just too afraid to face the world. Because if I go out there, well, what if I kind of mess up, they see me, and then they see the side of me that I've been hiding for a while, whether that be for me, the fact that I didn't hit puberty till I was like 17 years old, which I was hugely embarrassed about, never wanted anyone to find out about, the fact that I had performance anxiety with a bunch of girls early on that I was dating, and a bunch of other reasons why I was just terribly insecure about who I was. And that ate away at my ability to be confident, my ability to pursue the things I knew I needed to pursue. What it also does is destroy your ability to connect, because one of the things that shame least wants is to be seen. And if you connect with somebody and you allow yourself to be seen like that, well, your body's going to push back against that. You're not going to be able to connect with others in a way that feels authentic or organic, because you won't want that side of yourself to come out. You will feel exposed, you will feel naked. Obviously, this is how it comes in with the performance anxiety. And this is just so crippling for a dude that he can't have anyone around him. So we've got him having no confidence, surrounded by no one that truly connects to him. And finally, what shame does, it causes you to lie, and not just to others, but to yourself. I'm avoiding slipping down there right now. Because you don't want to tell people who you are really. And what this does is eat away at your identity. And to a man, his identity is really important, because this is why, like, if a guy loses a job that he really loves, he is so much more likely to then suffer a breakup or a divorce, because he loses this sense of who he is. And if you're riddled with shame, like I was, you always are in this perpetual state of not really knowing who you are. We speak our identity into being. We talk through who we are, and it makes us feel a sense of solid, of just like firm ground to step on when we know who we are, which we don't have when we're riddled with shame, because all we're doing is trying to lie and manipulate so no one will really see the real us. Like, our friends don't really know who we are. And I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like, because I was so filled with shame. I'll pretend to like this music just because they like it, because I'm so desperate for somebody to try and validate me. I'll pretend to do all these things. And I can tell you right now, that led me to misery. That led me to having like a quarter-life crisis at the age of 23, when the first girl to ever get in a relationship with me then broke up with me, and I realized all of these things that I'd done wrong, where I didn't know who I was. I didn't have proper confidence because I was still riddled with shame. And if this speaks to you and you think this toxic emotion is eating away at you, I can run you through what I went through. I realized that I needed to find someone. So for me, I ended up finding a counselor. I found one guy that I felt like I could tell the truth to, because me at that point was kind of like, well, I need at least one person, but I don't want to be someone that is like someone I know. I felt too ashamed for that. So instead, I went and paid somebody. I was like, I'm going to pay him because this guy is contractually obligated not to share all my deepest, darkest fears with everyone that I'd most be afraid of finding out. So instead, I went to him and we worked through it. And one of the most fascinating things actually happened. As I started to open up to this one person, I started to feel a little bit lighter. I started to feel like I liked who I was when I was talking to this one person. That when I told him about these deep insecurities, about what had happened for me growing up, that I was bullied, that I had this performance anxiety that I'd not told anyone about, I just felt lighter, and this identity that was building with him, it was the one that I wanted. This was becoming my favorite hour of the week. So I realized the first step in escaping the shame is finding that one person where you finally let the shield down. You finally open up and admit who you really are. Because do you know what makes shame so toxic and way worse for a man than any other emotion? What makes it just so deadly is because every other emotion has enough of it causes, enough of the emotion causes its natural outlet. If you are really sad, you will cry, you will feel better. If you're really angry, you'll shout and it'll release that. If you're really happy, you'll smile and you'll laugh. But if you feel an immense amount of shame, it causes like a recursive feedback loop that I feel shame, so I don't want to show the world who I am. So I step back, but then I feel more shame because I've now stepped back and hidden more of myself and said more of myself isn't good enough. And I step back and I step back. Shame is so toxic because it just forces you to retreat into almost just like nothingness. So the first step is finding that one person where you can take a step forward, that one person where they actually get to see who you were. Fucking shout out to Kevin, where he is. I'm not advocating everyone should now plow into counseling. For me, it worked because I used it for that particular purpose. And for you, it might be a family member, it might be a friend, it might be a dating coach who I help guys go through this process because I can tailor it specific to them and do it through a lens of understanding what it's like to finally open up to someone for the first time and how much impact it will have had on their dating, on their relationships. Then, secondly, I started to really watch my speech. I started to watch the things that I was saying about myself in the world, because that's what I said before, that we speak our identity into being. And every single time that I choose to say that I'm not a confident person, that I'm shy, every time I choose to lie and do something just because I think they would like me more if I do it, I'm communicating to my own brain, my own identity, that this is how it should be. I'm always going to subjugate what I want for that other person. So when I say, oh yeah, I'll come across and go visit your house that's an hour out the way for me just because it's more convenient, it's saying that I'm not brave enough and I don't value myself enough to put myself first and do that, to put myself out over there. And what I also did, that relationship I had with Kevin, I started porting that over and doing that with everyone else. I started trying to be that expressive part of me that I really wanted to be. I started showing who I was to everyone else in this world. And I got to say, it's far bloody easier. It allows you to be a free person. You're no longer hiding, starting to tell the truth, finding that one person. It's vital. It's leaning into who you really are, flaws and all. And part of that for me, certainly, it came through like just spending time with myself, acting as if I didn't know who I was and just almost rediscovering my interests again. When I was 23, I was like, oh shit, you don't know yourself at all. So I started listening to all different kinds of music to see what I really liked, doing all different kinds of activities, hanging out with different kinds of friends, and almost restructured my identity again. Because that's what shame has done for you, is torn you down so you're like a husk. So if someone pushes against you, it's like paper mache, they just go straight through. You aren't a complete person, and it's because of the toxicity of shame, and it's building back that identity, finding out who you really are, as opposed to kind of the representative that you've been putting out into the world so far, because that isn't really you. You are so much more than that. There is so much more depth. If you feel like you're the boring one at the party, that is just because you're hiding who you really are. Human beings are the most interesting, fascinating species ever. We're the most interesting, complex things in the universe. So if you think you're boring, it's because you've likely suppressed the elements about you that would be interesting, that you're not expressing yourself properly, you're not owning those interesting parts of yourself because you're afraid that other people might pick on you for it, bully you for it. When I've seen that's not really the case, one of the fascinating things I discovered about vulnerability along the way was that the more I opened up, shared my flaws, shared my insecurities, the more other people did the same with me. And I was able to have connections and relationships and conversations with people that I would never have expected. I opened up about the fact that, why not put this out there? I also got circumcised at a really late age when I thought I was just a bit broken. I should definitely have had that done at an earlier age. And then I found out a bunch of my friends had had this done as well, and I didn't feel as alone. Like, part of the reason we feel lonely is because we're not showing who we truly are. There is going to be a bunch of things. Everyone feels so isolated. Everyone feels like they're alone here, but it's just because they're not brave enough to step forward first, offer that olive branch to others, because I guarantee it's out there. But for me, all of this can get traced back to that first step of taking the leap, of getting in touch with that one person, finding that one person, whether it is a family member, whether it is a counsellor, whether it's me, I don't mind here, but finding someone is that first step, because then you can build out from there. It's kind of like getting your first foothold in. So you're like skidding down a mountainside and you just kind of lock the first foothold in to stop you falling into the abyss of nothingness and that lack of identity. We still have to climb the hill, but we stop falling and you just start to build yourself up and up and up. I guarantee you, this shame, it will always bury you if you continue to lose yourself and not tell the truth and not reach out to somebody. So I would traditionally right now, I'd try and prompt you to another video to watch, but I don't want you to do that. Instead, if you're looking for a way out of this shame, it starts with reaching out to whoever that might be for you. So get off YouTube, abandon now, and reach out to somebody, because I guarantee you will no longer be falling down there. You'll start to find your place in the world and start to be the person that you can truly be.